Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. We are blessed to have Larissa Luck with us today. Larissa, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Chris. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So, for our listeners today, if you wouldn't mind just kind of introducing yourself, where you're located, give us a quick background on your mortgage business.
Sure thing. I am presently in what they call the Eastern Shore of Maryland. You may have heard of Ocean City, and I'm in that vicinity. I have lived here for over 12 years. I'm really kind of a native of Indiana, but there was some love brought me here. When people ask, what brought you here? I said love. It was a man, but now I just love the area, so I stay. So
Nice.
that's just kind of things change, but I'm happy to be serving. And 10 years ago, I basically kind of happened into the mortgage industry, and it's stuck. Love helping people realize their dream of home ownership, and I can do the math, and I'm good with people. So that's why I stuck to the mortgage side versus venturing into the, say real estate realtor agent side.
Excellent decision. And for our listeners, would you mind sharing just a rough idea of where you're at volume wise?
I'm guessing most of the listeners here are either loan officers or agents, and I'm running around 40 to 50 loans a month, or not a month, I'm sorry, a year, which some would say is average production, but I appreciate the life I live, and it's more than I was doing a couple years ago before I broke through some barriers.
That is amazing. So, where do you find you get the majority of your business from right now?
I have actually am 100% referral based, and
Fantastic.
yeah, that was a very big switch for me. It felt like a risky move when I changed companies a couple years ago. But I was also in such a slump that I almost wanted to leave. Like I could
Yeah.
just take this job and shove it. The rates were up at the time. I was not feeling loved where I was at. And as my mentor says, don't stay where you're tolerated, go where you're celebrated. And
Yes.
um, rather than get out, I actually found a company that not only celebrated me, empowered me, and gave me great tools to do my business and live my life.
That is amazing. And I think that's actually very timely for the market conditions that we're in right now. There's been a lot of people that have been heavily refinance based. Rates are ticking back up and they're going, man, I'm switching gears. This is difficult. Do I stick with it? And absolutely stick with it. Absolutely keep going because we're going to uncover some things here in this episode. I think they're going to be super helpful for that journey. So, with you being 100% referral based, Larissa, what does the breakdown look like? Is it all past customers? Is it referral like realtors, financial planners? What does the breakdown kind of look like?
Well, I haven't, I'll say, I apologize that I don't have an exact
Oh,
breakdown, but
okay.
yeah, but it's a good mix between probably about 50-50 referrals from realtors and industry professionals, like you said, financial planners, CPAs, insurance agents, and then my own commitment to networking locally and with other. That's not exactly like I get out in the chambers. This is kind of a small town area, and in social media, I do a lot, and I have since I got into mortgages to let people know. I think the number one thing you can do for yourself as any type of sales agent is let people know what you do. It is my job to make sure that the people who know me know that I can help them with a home loan.
That's amazing. And we just had one of our previous episodes was with Katie White, and she gets a portion of her business from BNI groups, and she was a big advocate for being in the BNI. So you mentioned social media in there, and that's always an area where I find loan officers have a little bit of a sticking point with like getting out there on their social media, like their accounts, and actually getting out and letting people know they're in the mortgage industry because they don't want to feel salesy. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you approach social media and how you look at your marketing and advertising through that channel.
100%. And the way I started was adapting a mentality first. And I think, as you mentioned, there's some people who are kind of maybe trying to bridge the gap between the refinance business to purchase, because there was a lot of that in the last few years, most certainly, which caused a lot of people to become loan officers. And I had to change a mode in my head from the competition and the competitiveness to an abundance mentality, that
Yes.
there really is enough to go around. And that some might call it the secret, the law of attraction, that I'm going to attract those to me that are meant to be my clients. And if they are meant to be my clients, they're, other people who maybe I wouldn't work with, well, my clients aren't going to work with them either.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very big shift that helped me to stay in the business and to move into a new company. And actually it exploded my business. And I went online. I was okay with who I was. And
Yeah.
when you say, well, if I'm going to attract people, then it's about identity and being like, I'm just put myself out there. If people don't like it, then so what? And I was at the prior company, they had kind of gotten ahead of the curve with encouraging social media. They taught us some skills. And at the time, Facebook had just put out the ability to post a video. And now we can do live videos. And mom's always on stage. I put it out there. This is who I am. And then when they integrated stories into Facebook, then I started being exactly who I am. Like, we can't discriminate, and I don't, but my faith is a major part of who I am, and I will not apologize for it.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I found just my positivity, my want to motivate, because I see myself as a teacher and an encourager.
Hmm.
I mean, I got into the industry 10 years ago, which was after the fallout, the
Yeah.
big bubble burst. So I heard all the stories. I was doing refinances, helping people scrape up from the bottom and their horrible loan situations. And all I could say was, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to let you go forward that way.
Yeah.
And so I take it on myself to, it might be hand holding, but teaching and consulting. This is not a transaction. This is a relationship. But I do want to be your lender for life. I want you to trust me, and so much that you'll refer your friends to me. That 10 and a half years later, I'm completely referral based. My
Yeah.
realtors know I handle my clients that way, that I care for them and I serve them with a full heart.
That is amazing. And I think that, I mean, that serves every aspect of your business so well, but that also really does serve social media. Like, I see so many people that will come in and try Facebook ads for 30 days or whatever platform it is. And they're like, this isn't working because I didn't find the perfect ad that's going to get people to just come in and get a mortgage with me. And when you look at it from your perspective of being a teacher and serving the marketplace and just continually giving with content and education and allowing people to ask questions and answering them on your social media, that's what organically builds it over time. And the more people you help, the more referrals you get through social media. So I love that tip. That's very valuable.
Thank you.
Right on. And now, are you actively out promoting for more referral partners in your business, or do you have enough? What does that look like?
Um, right now, actually, what I'm doing is niching.
Oh, nice.
That, like I mentioned earlier in identity, is you might have heard of the I will statement. I think a
Yes.
friend of ours has perfected that. And I wrote that down, and that really helped me to clarify who I wanted to work with as a customer, who I will and I won't, the types of customers, and also the types of realtors. And there's a balance because I do tend to attract a lot of newer rookie realtors into my life. And so last year, I actually adopted the challenge concept using social media and launched a few different courses for realtors to attract
Oh,
them and for buyers. Um, and even today, I'm saying goodbye to a client, and she's kind of saying goodbye to me, and I'm not crying over it because it's not the type of client. I don't care how big the loan is that that you know that I want to. They'll be demanding. They're not
yeah.
listening. They're being needy. And I'm sorry if I was on vacation, kind of at a conference in California, which is the other side of the country for me, for 3 days and not in a capacity over a weekend
Yeah.
to answer, to put out an application. I did it in due diligence. No one was out of contract. It was completely right. You did not lose your rate.
Yeah.
And she fussed over it. I'm like, well, I went the extra mile beforehand. If there's not that much grace,
Yeah.
you can say goodbye, and I'm not going to chase you down.
That is the beauty of that abundance mindset, which is so fantastic. Now, you just mentioned creating a challenge for
Mhm.
your realtors and for your first-time buyers. So
Mhm.
would you like what does that look? Do you advertise that online? Is it a course that you put together? What does that look like?
Well, it's kind of my secret sauce.
Oh, okay. Well, let's not dig too deep then.
Well, this is no ice bucket challenge. This is a state of the art. It's cutting edge. You may see um, online marketing gurus. I don't know if I should name drop, but I am learning from the best of the best. My mentor is Pedro Adeo, and he is the challenge guy.
Nice.
And one thing I did last year, when I had all those bucks from the 2020 tsunami of mortgages in the pocket, I bought my first house.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. As a single lady, figure the mortgage lady ought to probably buy her own house. And that was a bit of a miracle in of itself. I paid off all my bills otherwise than the mortgage. And I invested in myself and my future. And because I do love marketing as well. And when I encountered him in a business mentorship capacity, um, he has two sides to his businesses, and he is the challenge guy. He consults with big names that you and I would recognize when it comes to sales, marketing, and motivation out there in the marketplace. And I have been able to launch a few different challenges, which is kind of like a short 3, 5, 7 day online course that is community centered, and it helps draw the right people to you for the right motivation and the right topics, and valuable to both sides of the table, so to speak. The teacher, if that called me the teacher, the leader, and to those who are receiving the content.
Hmm. I love that. And so we're toying with a challenge launch right now in our business. So I'm doing a lot of research on challenges and how to structure them, make them valuable for people and all of that. And for those of you that are listening, it's like a webinar, but more impactful because you're building a community around content that's delivered over a number of different days, and it gives you the time to be able to get to know people, to be able to bond with people, to bring them together in a community. And there are many big names that are using that as the new webinar or the new Jeff Walker style product launch, and seeing some interesting stuff. So that's amazing, Larissa. That's super cool that you're out there doing that.
Well, ask me more offline because I'm actually getting consultant status certified with
Oh, fantastic. Okay, yes, absolutely.
them.
So I will reach out about that. That's fantastic. So we've got some funnels going, and we've got a large, well, the majority of the rest of the business is all referral based. So do you have any systems or processes in place for keeping in touch with your past clients and continuing to get as many referrals as possible once the deal is closed? What does that look like?
Absolutely. Well, I work at Annie Mac Home Mortgage, and they have worked hard. Customer is number one, and we believe that every individual deserves more from a mortgage than just a reactive answer.
Yep.
So from the minute they contact us, we have a fantastic CRM system, and then from beginning all the way through settlement, and then immediately afterwards, we're asking for reviews and we're doing follow-ups. And then there's the organic reach out. I'm always making sure that one way or another, I'm touching base with my clients. They hear from me. I'm a party of one. I have thought about expanding and, with staff, and that just hasn't exactly happened yet. And I'm okay because I know where God is taking me.
Hmm.
And I just want to help my people around me generate wealth. And I mean, on that end, if I can even just set it, I'm going to say this out loud for anybody here. God wants you to own land.
Hmm.
God wants you to own land, and He wants
Oh,
his people, His good people, and we're all His people to own. So get out there, quit renting. Because I did the numbers in one of my last challenges, and I was like, if I think about it, like I probably paid rent for over 10 years, and it was probably over $135,000. And where I live, that's a house.
yeah.
I mean, there's a time and a place for renting, and that was a different mentality. And then as I started serving my people, and it's a reflection of my mentor, he's building this idea of And why does why God wants people to own land? Yeah. Not exactly something they're going to teach us in the marketing classes, or I didn't even hear it in church. And my parents always wanted me to buy a house, sure, but that was part of the whole marriage package. But I'm getting ready to
Right.
say, girl, you don't need a man to buy a house. I have certainly helped enough single ladies, divorced ladies, widows purchase their homes as well.
That's amazing. And so that being, do you focus on that in your marketing? Like, do you take that out as like a marketing slogan as far as like that's for you? Do you put out content on like, hey, if you rent for this long, this is how much it can cost, and do like comparisons for your people and your people that follow you? Or is that more just like once you get them into the consult, that's kind of the content that you lead with?
It's a mix. I'm pretty here or there. That's actually some stuff coming out in my future challenges.
Ah.
But I covered some of that in the uh, challenge I ran for buyers was from clueless to qualified.
Oh, nice.
How do we get them out of, because we know when they do click on that little thing on those websites we don't want to mention that show us all the houses and don't necessarily have all the accurate information. A lot of them are just pretty darn clueless about what it takes to get pre-approved, and they just want to run and get a house. But especially in the seller's market, nobody should be entering a house without a solid cash offer or pre-approval.
Yep.
So in a fun way, I'm going to be that Lady Luck the lender, good looking loan officer who made mortgages fun.
That's amazing. That is fantastic. Okay. So we've been through the past customer database. What about some of the other referral partners that you work with? So realtors, financial planners. Do you have any type of ongoing outreach to those people to continue to build those relationships?
Well, I'm really glad that you asked, because part of what I just mentioned is that I've been spending a lot of time in prayer and reaching in to a community of people like me who are also real estate professionals.
Huh.
And there's been a lot of craziness in the negotiations for home sales and purchases lately, and I have seen some rancid business happen,
Mm.
and it's getting worse and worse. I was just at an event and a realtor came up to me and said, the loan officers in my area are starting to advise their clients to not use realtors. Stay in your lane. Larissa Luck is going to say
Wow.
to the rest of you, stay in your lane. You're not licensed to be a realtor. Stay in your lane. I don't care what state you're in or what country you're in. I never once
Wow.
recommend a realtor, because they're licensed in the law of real estate. We are licensed in the law of mortgages, so
Okay.
to speak, in those procedures. And I think it's a happiness together. Now, we know it's a very low bar, is what I realize. The bar is very low to get into become a realtor or a loan officer, actually. Loan officers could be a dime a dozen as well, but a great loan officer and a great realtor are worth their time and their commissions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been praying into, so what do you want me to do, God? Because, when 2022 rolled around and it's definitively a seller's market and they started saying the rates are going up, and yes, they have, are already on the four note, hello. CEO of our company said, yeah, last week was pretty much the worst week in mortgages in the last 15 years. That was bumpy, and there's something going on in the Ukraine and all that. So buckle up. And I'm not going to let imposter syndrome, or I'm not going to let a poverty mindset come in and say you're not good enough. I know I'm established, and I'm not putting myself up against the biggest producers out there. They have bigger teams, they have bigger responsibilities. That's not the way I live my life. I like to be able to take off and go to California for a week and invest in myself if I
Yeah.
want to. So as I leaned into that and leaned into my prayer and this idea God's been saying, God wants me to know why He wants people is also He wants He wants people of integrity to stay in the real estate business. That when the wolves come out, there's going to be some warriors, some white knights. So what standard do we need to go to? And that is what I'm actually beginning to roll out and looking for and talking about with my realtor partners and my real estate professionals, insurance, and that feel that real estate is where they get their business from and are interested in. And we are creating community to investigate, where is God's standard? Let's raise the bar and set a standard that is truly ethical and of the service minded and serving people at the highest level, not just the bare minimum.
Wow. So that's almost like a hybrid of like a prayer group slash BNI togetherness group. That's a really interesting hybrid model.
it's this thing, and it's coming together. People, the conversation is growing. And if that's a conversation any of you listening want to be a part of, I hope Chris will allow me the chance to say, please find me.
Absolutely. And so, Larissa, that's actually a great segue. So, people out there that are resonating with that, how do people find you? How do people reach out? We'll put everything in the show notes, but how do people get a hold of you?
Most easily Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I am a one-man show, and so I'm trying more daily to get on top of all those notifications and whatnot. So Facebook is kind of probably my Facebook Messenger is just as active as my text messages. And I have 2 different forms of personal and business phones to do the text messages. Anybody want to be my assistant? I'm just saying I need a VA like crazy. So
That's awesome. Well, we can help you with that. We've got a program called The Executive, and it's exactly how to hire a mortgage executive assistant to make all of your phone calls for you and help with all your inbound stuff. So, well, hey, for the listeners to know as well. So you can go to executiveinnercircle.com to check that out. We'll put that in the show notes as well. So, Larissa, thank you so much for investing your valuable time here with us today. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. I really appreciate the opportunity, Chris.
Hey, it's Chris Johnstone. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. I hope that you loved it and got incredible value from it. Right now, it's time to head on over to iTunes and leave your 5-star review if you enjoyed this episode. When you do, you will be entered into our monthly draw to receive an Amazon gift card. So go ahead, leave that review today. It also helps us attract top talent and really get incredible interviews lined up for you so that we can share even more value for you. Now, for the show notes and for all of the resources that were mentioned in this episode, you can head on over to loanofficerwealth.com. That's loanofficerwealth.com. You get access to all the show notes from all the episodes, all the past episodes, get notified of new episodes when they drop, and we've also got some very special bonuses for you over on that page when you opt in. So head on over and opt in today, and we look forward to sharing the next episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast with you soon.